Between December 2012 and February of the next year, Jerome Hayes committed 3 armed robberies. At least that's what police told him when they brought him downtown and placed him under arrest.
I'm not very sympathetic about excuses, Jerome. I only think it's every time you talk.
Jerome, then a 21-year-old employee of a Southside Steak and Shake, consistently denied any role in the robbery.
It wasn't me, sir. It wasn't me, sir.
But the evidence against him was solid, maybe insurmountable. 3 armed robberies, all within a half mile of each other, all arranged through Craigslist, all linked to a computer in Jerome's mom's house, and 3 eyewitnesses, each of whom picked out Jerome's mugshot from a lineup.
Our detectives made a great arrest based on probable cause from 3 separate victims, 3 separate photo spreads where the suspect was identified.
JSO Director Mike Bruno still believes they arrested the right guy, and Assistant State Attorney Alan Mizrahi seconds that.
You have the IP address linking the defendant, or at least linking the computer in the defendant's home as being the person that placed the ads. That's incredibly compelling, and in my mind, that's proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
But records obtained by First Coast News show the case against Jerome Hayes began to dissolve quickly.
This was a common perpetrator. It was the same robber who committed all 3 robberies.
Within weeks of his arrest in March 2013, Jerome was able to show that he'd been at work during 2 of the 3 crimes. By May, police had confirmed his alibi with both his manager and his work records.
I've never seen a case like this in terms of there being such evidence to show that Jerome did not commit at least 2 out of the 3 of these robberies.
Mizrahi says that wasn't enough to get them to drop the case.
Even though we had alibis, we had such compelling other evidence that made those alibis less important.
The strongest evidence was the eyewitness testimony. One witness said he was, quote, 100% certain Jerome was the robber. But from the start, Jerome told police they had him confused with his younger brother.
That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, sir. I have a brother. He looked just like me.
The 2 had the same mother and father and looked very similar. Plus, his brother, then 19, was the same age that Jerome was in the mugshot police used in the lineup.
Our eye color is different. But besides that, people would be looking at us like, wow. Basically like as if we were twins.
Jerome told police his brother Jer Morris owned a Glock, like the gun used in the crime. He had Beat headphones, like those stolen from a victim. He carried a Samsung Galaxy 6, like the one stolen from another victim. Perhaps most compelling, it was his name, Jer Morris Hayes, on the email linked to the Craigslist crimes.
Most defendants claim somebody else did the crime. I mean, it's very common. That's all well and good that you say your brother did it, but realistically, our evidence shows it was you.
But Jerome wasn't the only one who believed Jer Morris was the perpetrator. This email, from just a month and a half after his arrest, shows Assistant State Attorney Erin Wolfson thought so too. She tells the detective, quote, "I think he's our robber." JSO Detective Gerald Medlock seems to have shared that suspicion. In August 2013, he brought Jer Morris in for questioning and basically accused him of committing the crimes.
Jerome didn't do this, you did it.
The detective Medlock specifically tells Jamaris that I believe you committed these robberies, I believe Jerome is innocent of these crimes, and I believe that is the reason why you have never gone and visited your brother in jail, because you know he's in jail for something you did.
It's an investigative technique.
Both the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office declined to let First Coast News interview the people who directly handled the case, but both agencies dismissed the significance of the Jer Morris interview.
Frankly, what detectives say, not only can they misrepresent or shade the testimony of a particular side to get information out of a potential witness or defendant, but they can affirmatively lie.
But Medlock's doubts weren't just for show. In this August 2nd, 2013 email, he tells prosecutors he interviewed Jer Morris and has all of his, quote, lies on DVD. Jer Morris consistently denied involvement and was never charged, but Boyle says the interview was a sign the state's case was weakening. And there were others, like this email from the lead detective asking the prosecutor, quote, when will you start the process of getting Jerome released?
It was frustrating, I'm not gonna lie.
For Jerome, hope slipped away with the passing months. Locked away on the jail's 5th floor, with those accused of the most serious crimes, Jerome initially believed the state would drop the case. When that didn't happen, he offered to take a polygraph in hopes he'd get out in time for the birth of his daughter.
It was sad because I thought I was going to be out right before she was born.
He passed the polygraph, But October 2013 came and went.
My child was born that same day, and I was crying.
In fact, Jerome would sit in jail another full year until prosecutors finally agreed to do something they hadn't done in decades.
The state decided to actually conduct a physical lineup with Jerome, Jerome's brother, and 3 other sort of filler individuals.
It is. It's very unusual. It's something that, because of the perfect storm of this case, we felt that was the clearest way to get to the truth.
As it happened, the one eyewitness who was 100% certain Jerome did it took one look at the lineup and picked out his brother, Jermoris.
We immediately got the paperwork to have the defendant released. That's what we did.
The tragedy of it is this was only discovered after Jerome had been in jail for 19 months.
Of course, not everyone views what happened as a tragedy or even a mistake.
It feels like everybody is trying to dissect this and see where the breakdown is, but ultimately it's the justice system that was designed by our founding fathers, and it worked.
Both sides do take a lesson from Jerome's story, however, even if each one is very different.
If you're going to have family members that look like you commit crimes, probably should stop them before you get arrested.
Personally, one of my realizations is when your client tells you that he's innocent and didn't do it, you need to at least hear him out, because he might be right.
And one more note here. As a result of this joint investigation, Public Defender Matt Shirk is considering filing an ethics complaint against the state attorney's office for how it handled this case. He sent us a statement. It says in part, "What happened to Jerome Hayes is nothing short of deplorable." He goes on to say, "Unfortunately, Jerome's experiences are all too common. The argument that the system worked and Jerome was released is despicable. Who can have faith in a system of justice that allows someone to spend 19 months in a jail cell accused of a crime he didn't commit? This was a blatant failure of the system."